Welcome to Composer's Favorites, a podcast by Film Scoring Tips. I am Giovanni Rotondo, and today we're gonna learn more about composer Brian Ralston's favorite things. Enjoy the show! Our guest today is composer Brian Ralston. He composed music for Crooked Arrows, Being Rose, and Silent River, among many other films. Welcome, Brian. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I would like to start right away with your favorites, one that I didn't know about. And this is something I'm loving about this show. I'm learning so many great things. This is your favorite album, and it's Lord of the Rings Symphony No. 1 by Johann de Meij. Can you tell us a little bit about it and why it's your favorite album?
Absolutely. There's a couple of things. One is that it actually was not written for an orchestra, although it has been transcribed for orchestra since. It was originally written for a wind band. So, which is a group in the United States that is a little more prevalent here than some other countries, although there are wind bands throughout the world. So wind band is basically a symphonic orchestra without strings. So it's all wind players, brass, woodwinds, and percussion. Full set, you might have 50 or 60 people on a stage. But you have some other instrument families like saxophone family, clarinets. Instead of an orchestra and clarinets, you might have 3 or 4, but in a wind band you might have 8 or 9 to fill out kind of what would be the strings with woodwinds. But it's a very unique sound and a very symphonic sound. And I'm a trumpet player by heart. That's my main instrument. And growing up and playing in wind bands and concert bands, they're much more beyond marches and military use and everything else. And Johann de Meij had wrote this symphony for wind band, and I just many in high school, I think, in the 1990s, I fell in love with this piece, and it's just been kind of on my mind ever since.
It's great. I listened to it yesterday and I really loved it. And I saw that each movement is a different character of the story. And also this was before the films, right?
Absolutely. And actually I don't know how true the rumor is, but there was talk and things I had read about the time that Peter Jackson had actually approached Johann de Meij at one point early on about doing music for the films, and which he said that that's not really my thing. And and writing for wind band is something that I'm starting to do a little bit more as well, and it's an inspirational piece to me that have something very symphonic that is for wind band.
Do you know there's a new symphony that he wrote for Lord of the Rings in 2019? Symphony number 5 is called Return to Middle Earth.
You know what? I did not know that.
Lovely. So, this is me being grateful to you for teaching me something. So you have something to listen to tonight. And this is actually a great segue to your favorite rejection. Amazon Lord of the Rings demo suite that you wrote and turned into a 2021 Hollywood Media in Music Award. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I know the showrunners to the Amazon piece, and it gave me the opportunity to submit something for consideration. So I was under no illusions that I would probably ultimately get hired. This is one of the most expensive shows in Hollywood, and $1 billion show. There's a lot of politics around that show, but getting the opportunity to put your music up and have them actually listen to it and consider it and I thought was an opportunity that I didn't want to waste. And so I wrote a suite of music, about a 10-minute suite of music, and I hired an orchestra in Los Angeles to record it. The best of the best players here, all I did on a union contract. These are the same people that have worked with a lot of these people behind the scenes that are on the Amazon thing, and I'm really happy how it turned out. But ultimately, it was rejected. Right? They decided that they were going to go in a different direction, and again, politics at play on a show like that were not. They were known to me. I didn't necessarily think I would get on the show, but I wanted to get my music out there. I wanted to get it in front of those people. That you never know, they might have another show in 5 or 10 years that they remember what I did and want to give me a shot at that point. So I took the opportunity. I then took that piece, turned it into a concert suite for orchestra, and submitted it for the Hollywood Media Music Awards, so the HMMAs, and it ended up winning.
That's awesome.
So taking a rejected piece for a Hollywood project and turning it into a Hollywood Music and Media Award in a different category was, surprising. But I just submitted it like, what the heck? What am I going to do with this? I couldn't commercially sell it. I did it on a demo contract at the time, and so I submitted it as a concert suite. And
this is an inspirational story. I hope it will give all the listeners of the show ideas on how to, not stopping in front of obstacles and turning the situation around.
Yeah, I mean, just because someone rejects your music or feels that you're not right for a project or all the other considerations doesn't mean that you're not worthy of something. Doesn't mean that piece of music wasn't good. It's just that there's so many considerations that go into getting hired for a project that it doesn't mean anything. And so if you can get beyond that and take that thing that you did and turn it into something else that works for you, why not?
On the other hand, when your music is not rejected and you compose a score, you have a favorite way of celebrating after the end of the scoring
I do.
process, which is building Legos.
I love building
I'm
Legos.
such a fan of Legos. Tell me more about it.
I'm still kind of a kid at heart. So, my daughter's 8. She loves building Legos. I love helping her build Legos. But ever since I was a kid, Legos is something I would do. And it became, the older I got, the more complicated Legos I would build. And, now the big sets, the thousands of piece sets that are, probably more expensive than they should be. I just love doing them. And I usually save, I have boxes of Legos that I've bought over the years, things that I want to build that I don't have time to build. And when I finish a film, I will put away a week or so, and I will just be here in this room and build Lego. Like I even did, it's kind of hard to see. I have a table under here. It's the Millennium Falcon. It's the huge Lego Millennium Falcon, and I ended up building the thing, and I bought that table just specifically for it, and I've the Philips Hue lights lighting the table underneath, so it's just this massive, impressive Lego thing. It's just something you go into the store and you go like, oh, I want that, and then you look at the price and you're like, but it was my reward for doing one of my previous films, and so to myself.
I'm still trying to get permission from my wife, but I failed so so far. We'll see when my kid will grow up a little bit. Maybe it will be the excuse that I'm looking for.
That's the excuse, exactly.
Yeah. Do you think it's crazy to say that the fact that you love Legos is because composing a score is a little bit similar in the way that you build blocks and chunks and bigger molecules and put them together?
Perhaps. I mean, creating things, being creative. I love in my studio here surrounding myself by inspiration, and even a Lego sitting there like a Millennium Falcon. It makes me remember the movies. It makes me remember the little characters. It makes me. I mean, I have a lot of other stuff around me too on my desk that these little
Oh wow, awesome.
things that inspire. And I have these Muppet characters
Oh
that
yeah, I love them.
that I always love, and whenever I'm having writer's block, I pretend they're criticizing me from the side of my desk over here. And I always remember that joke. They said, "Hey, how did we get these seats?" And the other guy goes, "Hey, we entered a contest and we lost." It's like, so it makes me laugh and makes me get out of my head and think of other things. So
Awesome. Are we gonna see Death Star anytime soon in your studio?
oh, I have a bunch. I have a Transformer. I have a Ghostbusters car. I have a couple other Star Wars ships. I don't. The Death Star is such a big round. I don't know if I have like the desk space for it.
Right. Makes sense.
But there's a few other boxes that I have yet to. I have a little R2D2 I have yet to build. That's kind of cool.
So you are covered for a few projects.
I am embarrassingly covered for a while.
Your favorite film is The Rocketeer.
Yeah, you asked me this question, and depending on my mood, I would probably answer different at any
Of course.
one time. But it is a film that I keep going back to. It's it's one of those superhero films that never really seem to take off. No pun intended. It the James Horner score on that is probably one of my favorite scores ever in a film. And there's just a sense of adventure, and they don't almost seem to make movies like that anymore. It's way before visual effects were kind of a thing, and of course his flying around in the movie was state of the art visual effects at the time, but there weren't a lot of fantastical things about it. Like it had to rely on story and its acting, and of course the music is amazing, and it's just a great movie. I wish they did more with that. I mean, they made that film and they intended to make more of them, and it just never happened.
I wanted to see if there was any word about sequels because there had been back 10 years ago, I think. And apparently a sequel is on work for Disney Plus, and it's going to be called The Rocketeers.
I've heard about that, and I hope it does come to actual fruition. There's also a Rocketeer animated series that they've done on Disney Plus. Well, and it makes me wonder, like, so much of the success and the feel and the heroic nature of that movie is really that score that James Horner did, and it makes me wonder who they're going to get to do the score, because we don't score films like that anymore, and it's very melodic and very symphonic, and a big part of the success of that movie and a lot of other movies of that time was kind of how we scored them. That made them feel that way, and I hope that when they do a sequel, that they will embrace that, and I think that'll make it stand out even different from the other Marvel movies and superhero movies that we're doing today. Is to have that kind of a score again.
It would be very cool to see your name on the composer credit list.
Thank you. I would love to do it. I have a feeling that the powers that be are probably looking for someone with a gold statue on their desk, but that's it's Disney and it's what it is. But I'd probably knock it out of the park. I think more and more people are getting opportunities. We will see. I think a lot of people getting hired nowadays too. They're looking for diverse voices that haven't had those opportunities in the past.
Right.
Which is a great thing, and
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see who gets hired.
Awesome. All right. Now we're gonna play 5 in 5 with 5, and that means 5 favorites in 5 minutes with 5 words. So I'm gonna ask you about different favorites, and I'm gonna ask you to only use 5 words to tell us about them, and it can be Just a description of the favorite or why you like it.
This is worse than Twitter.
Sorry, I know. And sorry for not telling you about it before, but I think the effect is maximized this way.
All right, I'll do my best.
All right, so I'm gonna start the timer. So we have 5 minutes to do it all, and if you manage to do more than 5, I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 available. So let's see what your score will be.
All right.
I've started the timer. Your favorite restaurant is Season 52 in Costa Mesa.
The food is great and always fresh.
Favorite free time activity? Visiting Disneyland in Southern California with my family.
Seeing my daughter smile makes me happy. That's more than 5 words, but
Favorite reverb? Liquid Sonic Cinematic Rooms with Altiverb.
it's awesome. It's great.
Favorite performance medium? Drum corps and marching band.
A unique medium. More people should watch it.
Cool. Favorite DAW, and I'm a fan myself, I use the same. Digital performer.
More people should use it.
Awesome. Favorite book? Omni Music Film Scores for Score Study.
Right there. I love reading music now.
Perfect. That's fine.
Score study is great.
And finally, favorite part of the film scoring process, conducting an orchestra and being in the room with the musicians.
There's nothing like being in that room.
Fantastic. I give you a score of 3,000. Thank you so much for being my guinea pig. I will, I will mention you to all my guests, saying you have a high bar to beat.
Thank you. I try.
Brian, this was such a pleasure, and all the listeners of the show, you can look forward to hear Brian's music on projects such as Silent River, Him and Her, and The Journeyman. And please do visit his website, brianralston.com, to learn more about these. Thank you so much for coming to the show. It was really fun.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure being here, and I'll leave everybody with what I say when I do my podcast. I say keep writing. So keep doing, keep making, keep writing.
That's fantastic. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's our show for today. We like to make our episodes roughly the same length, therefore we sometimes edit out some of the guests' favorites. However, extended cuts of the show are available to our Patreon subscribers. Check filmscoringtips.com/content to find more about this. Thanks for joining us and see you soon.